like a 75% of our agency does things over the phone versus in the field. I will be the first to attest that I think that going out in the field and selling life insurance is the best way to learn, because you can get hung up on and number blocked in a minute. Whereas when you're out in the field, like I did when I was getting that, pushback on the phones, you could have a 3 to 5 to 10 minute conversation with someone face to face. So I highly encourage new agents to still get out there in the field and really learn how to sell.
1, 2, 3, we are live. Welcome to the Let's Get Lit podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I got an absolute fucking killer and a rock star. I don't know where he got those glasses, but I almost want to go get a pair. Guys, this is who I just partnered with to bring all my agents over to with Safe Haven. Him and Ashley Gronberg are absolute legends in this space. So, Gage, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I appreciate the compliment on the glasses. You'd probably find this weird, but they were actually $30, man. So if any of you guys are out here watching, you guys wear glasses, go to zenni.com. It's a little hidden secret, zenni.com. And you can get super inexpensive glasses. You just need to know your prescription. So there's my commercial for Zenni.
Think we can get some advertisement paychecks on here? That's hilarious. So, dude, how long have you been in the insurance industry?
So this month actually marks 3 years, Mason.
And how big of a roller coaster ride has it been?
One of the biggest roller coasters you could ever imagine, I would say, because I didn't come from a sales background, man. So learning sales, learning the phones. I mean, I was horrific when I started. And I always tell people I was 4 months into this thing, putting out job applications. And I just thank God that my resume sucked because I didn't get any calls back. So I didn't have any other choices. So it was this or go work at a fast food restaurant. And but it's a blessing, man. I want to, change it for the world because it's my story. And I think that I hope that someone watching this, it resonates with them that I didn't come out the gate swinging. I wasn't some, rock star, brand new agent. I was one of those agents who just use grit and really focus to make it happen, man. Door knocking. Thank God for leads, because if I didn't have leads I could go door knock, we wouldn't be talking today, dude.
That's insane. So I want to hear more of your story. What did you start off doing in the insurance space? Like, give me a chronological timeline of, just walk me through that for your kind of journey through this.
Yeah. So like I said, I got started in August of 2019. And I really had no idea what I was getting into. I just knew that life insurance was a space that everyone really needs it at the end of the day. So it wasn't like I was selling vacuums or tickets or anything to some event. I was actually selling a service, and really it hit home to me because before I got started, the year prior, my grandmother passed away and she didn't have any life insurance. And that's kind of the first time I kind of got exposed to it, because I really wasn't surrounded by death that much growing up. So we came out of pocket a couple $100 to just help the family cremate my grandmother because we had nothing. And that's really what it kind of stemmed to me. I was like, well, if I can help people just be educated, because my family wasn't educated, then I'm doing well. So August of 2019 got started. Thankfully enough, one of the first leads I ever dialed on told me, I don't do business on Sundays, call me back tomorrow. So I followed up with them because I was calling on a Sunday, and he let me come over, and I'll never forget it. I helped him, his wife. He brought home some lunch from work. We ate barbecue together and made my first sale. And moving forward, like I said, the first couple months, I was probably issue paying anywhere between 8 to 12,000 those first couple months, which some of you are like, wow, 8 to 12,000. But when you only get advanced 75%, when you have lead cost, you don't get a lot of profit in the beginning. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have, Mason, is that they're going to come in here and just make all this money. When that's just not the case. You know, you only get 3/4 of the commission up front. And some carriers, they pay you when the customer pays. So if you don't put an immediate date, then sometimes you got to wait for that. So these are all things that weren't told to me that I just kind of had to learn on the fly, more or less. And so truthfully, man, you know, I was not booking that many appointments. I didn't have a lot of money to reinvest in the leads. So I knew I had an opportunity when someone filled out a form. And when I first got started, I was buying Facebook leads. So most of those come with a favorite hobby or a favorite color. And so even though they would hang up on me, I decided to go out and see them because I paid for the lead. I knew I wasn't very good on the phone. So I might as well go to their front door and get a no from their face. And that's when I really got exposed to the business because the phones are daunting, right? Like they feel like 1,000 pounds. You don't want to keep, you know, dialing someone back to back to back. And so you get all these mental barriers that kind of pop up in your head. But when I would go out to the door, my heart's beating, my hands are sweating. I had no idea what's going to happen, but I had an opportunity to actually have a conversation with the client or the lead. And that's really where I built my communication skills, was that door-to-door interaction. Because when you get hung up in 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you really don't get the opportunity to have a conversation back and forth. You don't really get the opportunity on overcoming objections because you kind of get stunned, more or less, when you're on the phones and you're brand new and you're not used to them. So I would go out and see people, man. I lived and died off of door knocking. And so I mentally took a note that even if they hung up on me on the phone, it didn't mean a no. It meant a no to the person who sucked on the phones. So I went out and knock on their door and say, hey, my office received your request. I've been having troubles trying to contact you. It's the one where you put your favorite hobby is gardening. Is that you? And it's like one of those things where that little extra security question, Mason, really gave me the opportunity to know that I wasn't bothering them. Like they had actually put in their favorite hobby or they put in their favorite color. I didn't just scrape their data from the internet someplace. Like they gave me a security question. So it really gave me the confidence going up to doors, knowing I had something I knew about them that a stranger wouldn't know about them. So just fighting the fight, man, those first couple months and just mentally battling myself, truthfully. Part of me says this is awesome because I'd make a big sale and get paid. And then I go through 2 to 3 days of rejection, no's, and it was weighing on me. And I just was like, I just don't know if this is it. And so that's the biggest mistake I probably had is I had that part of me that was like, well, maybe I should just go do something different. And if I could give anyone any advice out there, don't give yourself that option. Go all in and not have a plan B. And I didn't necessarily have a plan B, but I was thinking about a plan B. I was thinking I had a way out, more or less. And so really keep going on. We're probably in about December of 2019. Start making a couple more sales and not getting any interviews back. So I just shut down that essentially. And then fast forward through the holidays. It was not a great holidays because I had no money to buy any type of gifts or anything of that nature. And so I know that's a big hiccup for a lot of people in sales is around the holidays, you know, when you're in commission only sales, not having any money. And it's just like, you know, you may have to go your first year or 2 years, not being able to go spoil your family and do all these things. But I'll never forget it. In January of 2020, I went to a event. There was a grand opening event. And this is why I think events are so important for agents to attend, whether it's big, small, medium, they all matter because events can change lives and you just never know really what type of information you could get from there. So that's what, especially if they're free, man, it's just like you're giving up your time in exchange for knowledge and information. But I was at this meeting and the CEO of my old company How they usually pick out one person in the room. I was that person that he just spoke to the entire time. And he just asked me, how many hours a week do you think that you're putting in? Because he asked me how much I had issue paid. And the most at the time was like 18,000. So I'd made a little bit of money by this time. I was like, probably, 30 to 35. He's like, more like 20 to 25. Because if you were putting in 30 to 35 hours a week, you'd be issue paying 20,000 a month. And as crazy as that sounds, what I got from that is that I was lying to myself. I was telling myself that I was working X amount of hours, and I may have been doing things, here and there, but not effective hours, not real hours towards the business. And so that little message really spoke to my soul, more or less. I needed to quit lying to myself. I needed to actually give it more effort, more time, more energy. And then from there, man, I just started connecting with more people. I think that was a big thing that really changed my business, Mason, is I didn't just rely on the individual who brought me into the business or my upline manager, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
I was only talking to him. And the reason that I would never advise someone just to only talk to the person who brought them in their business or the manager is you're getting one perspective, you're getting one opinion, and you're only getting that person's side of the story or their approach. So then I started introducing myself to more people on the team, networking, and just asking like, hey, man, if I had any questions or anything, do you mind if I reach out to you? And they gave me the green light. And so I had 2 additional individuals that I started calling for help, for questions, for clarity, and picking their brain apart on what they would have said or what they would have done differently. And that's really when my business started to change, is I was taking 2 to 3 perspectives, 2 to 3 opinions, meshing it into what I thought would be best to approach, my business with. And then all of a sudden, I started to invest more in the business. And then I started making more sales. We're in March of 2020, COVID hits. I have my biggest month ever. I do 22,000. I actually started to make some money. And then fast forward to May of 2022, I had started sharing the opportunity a little bit because I attended our annual convention and seen all these people having teams and building something really special. And at the time I had taken Michaela Gagne is my significant other, and we do this business together. And then she joined in March of that 2022. And that's really when it wasn't just about me anymore, Mason, it was about me and her. And so to me, I didn't want to disappoint her. So I started working longer, started putting in more work, listening to more trainings. And that was one thing too that I would say that was crucial is I treated training calls as opportunities to get better every single week. I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be. And so I actually looked forward to the different calls throughout the week because I knew it was an hour of me absorbing information that I could immediately apply into my business. And so I stayed consistent with the training calls. I networked with more people. I started to share the opportunity a little bit more. And then in May 2022, we had 5 agents that did like 55,000 in production. So all of a sudden this like agency building started becoming part of my business and sharing the opportunity on social media. And so that first year, moving up into June, started picking up more momentum. I had some direct mail leads that I started to get my hands onto because I was making more sales. So I had more ability to invest more back into the business. And I think that's important for agents to understand as well, Mason, is even if you have to start off with the cheaper leads or, the internet-based leads, the idea is to utilize those leads to get your feet wet, to practice, to be able to invest into the more expensive, higher intent type of leads. And so I got to that point and I started getting some direct mail leads in. I started to see my sales go up. In June, I hit 33,000. And then in July of 2020, I'd hit 52,000 in 1 month in issue paid business. So I just kept seeing my activity go up. I kept seeing the amount of money that I was investing into my business go up, and I started seeing my issue paid business keep rising. And then in August of 2020, we had a team of 13 agents. We did $112,000 in issue paid business. So in about 3 months, we doubled because I started getting more active on social media. I started having Michaela share the opportunity on her social media. And I will say that month that I did 50, Michaela did 30. So combined, we did 80,000 in a month in July of 2020. And that was the first year in the business, man. And it was not easy because those first couple months really challenged me as a person because I had no confidence in myself. I had low self-esteem. And that's one thing I really credit this business to is not only have I grown professionally, but I've grown personally enormously, man, because when you're in, business for yourself, 1099, there's no one else but you that you're counting on. So that's kind of like the first year. I don't know how much more you want me to continue to elaborate on.
Yeah, I love what you just said on that about you weren't even growing just business wise. And that's because your work works on you more than you work on it. And that is the beauty of it. Yeah, let's shortcut to where kind of what you've done recent. Like, how big did your agency get with inside of the IMO you were with before? And then we'll kind of get into breaking off and doing your own thing, because that's kind of like a hero story. I love it.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, the big thing, guys, is just continuously sharing the opportunity. I think that we live in a day and age where social media is so relevant, and it's really an opportunity for you to market your business at zero cost. And so as time went on, we continued to share the opportunity. We continued to share our growth. And that's really creates the fear of loss in your network of people that are on your social media. They see you growing, they see you excelling, and they want to be a part of that. They want to be a part of something special, something that's bigger than themselves. That's what our generation is really geared around, is being a part of something that's bigger than themselves. And we're a part of this movement. We were growing and more agents, making more money. And fast forward to the next year, by time August 2021 rolled around, so 2 years in the business, we were doing around $400,000 in business. And we had about 74 agents or so at that time. And then fast forward to April of 2022. So now we're about, let's call it 2.5 years into the business. We had 154 agents that issue paid a policy. We did $954,000 in issue paid business for the month of April of 2021. And so as you guys have heard, like, that thing was just growing and growing and growing. And really what it was, Mason, is we just had momentum, man. And we were leaning in as a unit, specifically at our old IMO. A lot of people really envied us for our culture. And I think like the big thing that we did is, with us being all across the country in different areas and not being able to work side by side with each other, we created that virtual office through Zoom. Zoom has really created unlimited opportunities of bringing people together across the country at the same time through video, like you're there with them. And we created this Zoom room that we had our agents hop into and hop out of at their own leisure. And so we kind of gave our agency a virtual office, a place where they could come and make dials, hear people present, make sales, break off in another room for some one-on-one coaching, or break off and book appointments if they weren't doing virtual sales. And so what we did is we created these different breakout rooms within Zoom, which any of you can do as long as you have an actual Zoom account with. And it gives your agents the opportunity to hop into whatever room that they want to participate in. So we have this one call close room is what we call it. So that was for our virtual agents making outbound dials, giving presentations, and making sales on the first touch. Then we had a booking appointments room if there was any agents who were going out in the field booking appointments. allowing each other to kind of hear that approach. And then we had a one-on-one coaching room that allowed agents, if they didn't feel comfortable dialing in front of other people, to ask their manager to go into that room and just do some one-on-one time, or maybe two-on-one time, or whatever it is. And that really excelled our business, man, because we took the virtual telesales approach by the horn. We knew this is kind of where the industry was going with COVID and more people being, I guess, what's the word? That they're more comfortable giving out sensitive information over the phone. Pre-COVID, it was, come out to my house. I don't do anything like that. And then COVID happened, doctors, all types of things utilize that Zoom platform, which made it open up this door of opportunity. And we really just hopped on it. And we were one of those first agencies that really honed it. Now I would say we're probably like 75% of our agency does things over the phone versus in the field. I will be the first to attest that I think that going out in the field and selling life insurance is the best way to learn, because you can get hung up on and number blocked in a minute. Whereas when you're out in the field, like I did when I was getting that, pushback on the phones, you could have a 3 to 5 to 10 minute conversation with someone face to face. So I highly encourage new agents to still get out there in the field and really learn how to sell at a high level in person versus going over the phones. You're going to have a bit of a harder time, but that's a little bit of a synopsis of like what we were doing before we left the IMO. We're almost to $1 million a month with a little over 150 agents at that time, Mason. And we just seen this kind of repeat process is the best way to put it. We'd bring somebody into the business and we didn't feel like we could fully equip them with the right tools and the resources to really set them up for success. And it got to a point, if I'm being completely honest and transparent with you, that my heart wasn't in recruiting anymore. I had brought some people into the business that had given it 100%, and they still didn't make it. And it hit me in a different way, because I didn't feel confident in bringing someone brand new on and giving them the right tools and resources to actually set them up for success. Because at my old IMO, they would preach to us to buy a certain lead type that was very much recycled and kind of handed down. And then people
15 other Gages were calling too.
Exactly, man. And it was the most accessible lead that we could get our hands on. And there was a bajillion of them all across the country. So it was very easy to point agents to that lead source, when in fact, a lot of people were going in the hole utilizing that lead source. And I knew that direct mail was what majority of the company was using. But when you have, thousands and thousands of agents, there's only so much mail that could be dropped. And it really started to got saturated, and the prices kept going up. And I just was like, leads is the lifeblood of this business. I'll tell you guys that right now. And what would happen is at my company, because it was so big, a new lead source would come out, and then word of mouth would happen. And these leads would be, doing well for us. And then bajillions of agents started using them. And so then they get watered down, the quality would go down. And we were in this vicious cycle of like, this new lead vendor would come out, and then it was kind of like a hidden secret, and people wouldn't tell you the truth where they were getting them from. They would tell you those other leads that everyone was, buying. And it didn't sit with me well. I really sat back for the month of March of 2022, and I wanted to really see if this was it for me. Like, some of you guys are probably like, wow, you had 150 some agents, your team was doing over $900,000 of business. Like, life's great. It is on the surface level, but on the back end of it, when you're dealing with 90 agents not being able to pay $5,000 in a month, it just didn't sit well with me that, the top tier are sitting well and making money, but majority of my agency isn't making money. And I just really started contemplating, like, man, can I do this long term? I know I love this. Like I love this business. It's transformed, me into the best version of myself, I believe. But growing this agency really wasn't what I got into this business for. It kind of got put onto me because of the environment I was in. And that's kind of like what everybody was doing. So I was kind of with the herd mentality. And then I got into a position where I was leading a lot of people and a lot of people relying on me to set them up for success. And after so many people and so many phone calls and a lot of disappointment, it starts to wear on you. And I just took a step back, Mason, and I was like, man, like, I know I love this business. I know I can coach people who are coachable and will actually apply the different things that I've done in the past into their business. Like, I know I can help people make money, but I just don't feel like I was in the right system to give them the tools and the resources. Because at the beginning of every month, Mason, we start back at zero. And at the beginning of the year, we start back at zero. It doesn't matter if you sold $100,000 in a month. It doesn't matter if you sold $1 million in a year. Everybody starts back at zero. And yes, you can stack up a nice, amount of money and put away in the bank and have this, but we all know we live in a day and age where if you have some type of medical situation, that's all gone.
There's 50 G's gone
in a heartbeat. And so I really took the time to take the step back, like I said, in March of 2022, and figure out a way to create stability within my agency. How can I properly help an agent come into this business, be profitable, and have this become a career and not just a 1 to 2, 3 year thing that I did, back in the day? How many times did you talk to people, Mason, like, oh, I used to sell insurance? It's like so many people, because they lasted a year or 2 or 3, and there's a reason why Cody Haskins has the 8% nation, because 92% of insurance agents fail. And it's
those are metrics that I don't even like, because I know 7% out of them 8 are still living paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly. And so to me, I was like, how can we utilize this license to create stability and the true freedom that people desire or were sold on to come into this business without having to recruit a team? Because that's really the only way I seen it. You had to recruit people who would then have to make sales. So then you would get this passive income or this override. And they're great. But the thing that people don't talk about is the chargebacks and the roll-up debt that you can occur when you bring these people on. And so I personally went through a couple of those instances where I had roll-up debt hit me. I had chargeback debt hit me. And that was something no one told me about, Mason. I would have really appreciated that transparency when I started to hire everybody off of social media and try to recruit every waitress and Uber driver I ever sat with, when I really understood that when you recruit someone into this business, they come in as a liability, and it's actually your job to turn them into an asset. Because if you never turn them into an asset, you're kicking the can down the road with that liability, as far as someone quitting, not servicing their clients.
Oh, not even that. Like, I've seen personally, people come in, they get recruited, they'll sell 50 policies to all their family and friends, take the money, quit, have them cancel the policies. Now that debt's on you. 30 grand just rolled up to you out of nowhere. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you speak to everyone, no one fucking listens.
Yep, exactly, man. And so all of that factored in to me actually wanting to do this long term, and really even trying to consider if this was for me. I kind of got put into a position where I was growing and growing and growing. And truthfully, I realized like that was never actually my goal, Mason. My goal was to create financial freedom and freedom of my time. That's why I got into this business. And the environment I was in led me into growing this team. And now I really do enjoy coaching people, and I really love seeing agents win, make sales, make money. Like that's something I thoroughly enjoy. So I know that's like really my calling, but I don't want to have 500 or 1,000 agents to create a substantial amount of passive income with that liability continuously accruing and getting bigger, the whole 9 yards. And so what happened is I had one of my vice presidents at my old IMO find out about a gentleman who worked with Heartland Financial on the Medicare Advantage side of things. And so I heard him out on really what the potential was as far as enrolling people, the monthly renewals, and really where I came from, Mason, it was always told to me there's no money in Medicare. You don't even make any money.
Oh crap.
So I just never looked into it because you listen to what your leadership tells you, right? That's just kind of what we're naturally to do. And so I realized there's not a lot of upfront money, but there's a ton of money in year 2, 3, 4, 5 of the monthly renewal side of things. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. This is the stability. This is what we were looking for. We sell final expense at a very high level. And when we have people ask us about Medicare, we're like, oh, we don't do that. Or, and it's like, we're sitting with
money away. Yep.
If we're not talking about them, someone else is talking to Medicare about them.
You just made it easier for someone else to sell them.
Exactly. And so that's where I was like, okay, we're already meeting with that demographic of people, low income, on Social Security, fixed budget, and that matches very well with Medicare Advantage. And so that's when it just was like a light bulb moment for me. It's because I knew I could kind of create this base salary is what I always refer to it, our agents as, is the base or the monthly renewal aspect. And so now I really feel confident in bringing someone into this business, teaching them how to sell life insurance, to be able to fund their Medicare side of the business to build up that monthly renewal or their base salary. And it's a long-term plan. Before I was in a position where I'm like 2 to 3 years. That's what I was sold on, Mason. Go hard for 2 to 3 years, man, and you'll be set. 2 to 3 years, you'll be set. And there was nothing for me to be set about. I was 2.5 years into this business. We had a big size agency. My debt was getting bigger. My agents were falling off, just as many as we were bringing in. And it just didn't sit well with me, man. And so truthfully, we had that conversation with Heartland Financial, and Neil at the time had told me they had a life division, and I didn't have any interest in it at that time. I just wanted to bring this into my agent's portfolio, start offering it to our clients, and we're going to keep it moving. And as weird as this sounds, man, I started getting kickback for that. I started telling people about Medicare, which wasn't, with the narrative. All of a sudden, I was getting phone calls from upper leadership. I was getting phone calls from people that I'd never spoken to on the phone before, asking me if I was quitting or if I was going somewhere. And to be honest with you, Mason, I had no interest in leaving my company. I was happy. I thought it was the best platform ever. And I really feel like I got pushed out the door from March to April with all this drama, man. Like I'm the least dramatic individual you'll truly meet. Like I don't stir the pot. I don't have time for that. My time is focused with our agents and trying to help them become more profitable and sell more insurance. And so it really felt like I kind of got pushed out the door, more or less, because I found a way to create some stability within our agency. And because I started talking to a different company, I was in the wrong, man. And so to be honest with you guys, we met the Heartland team, and they were very genuine with their approach, because I talked to a couple of different IMOs. I was smart enough to understand I shouldn't just bite on the first thing that is in front of me. And so I started talking to 2 other IMOs. And man, they were licking their chops. They were trying to sell me on their company rather than educate me on how their company could help me. And that's what I felt with the Heartland team, is they were actually taking the time to educate me on what they offer and what is out there versus trying to sell me on their company. And the old IMO I was at is notorious for having big size agencies and growing really fast. So when I was talking to these other companies, they were licking their chops because they see me as an opportunity to grab a piece of this bigger company and then try to just open up the floodgates and bring people over. And I just felt the genuineness of the Heartland team, and they basically told us that we could build our own agency and we didn't need to carry their name. We didn't need to tell anyone anything. We just needed to say that we created our own agency, and that they would have their resources, we'd have their support, we'd have their connections to leverage and to really build this agency up the way we think it deserves to be built, and the way agents deserve the transparency. And that's kind of the next month or so is when I got introduced to you and David, and it just was like one of those weird things, man, where people come in your lives at the right time. And the first conversation I had with you gentlemen, it was like, these guys are legit. They've been in the business for a couple years, and you guys could bring a different dynamic from your old company. We could bring a dynamic from our old company and kind of mesh it into what, all the goods from the both, and then try to leave out as much of the bad as we could. And that's really where we're at, man. That's what Safe Haven is about. It's a place where agents can come for transparency to build their future. And that's what we're going to live and die by, man. It's just being honest with people. You know it yourself, man. If you're just honest in this business, it'll separate yourself from so many people, because they're just looking out for themselves, man. And I think that my biggest goal is just to try to help agents get that freedom and get that time that they desired when they were told about the insurance space or the life insurance world, and being able to provide them a path to where they can use their own efforts to build up their renewals and to build up their business and not have to recruit, man. I want that to be the agent's choice. It shouldn't be us telling them that they need to grow a team. It should be them.
Correct. I think that's hurtful to people, because leadership is a choice. And here's the thing that most people do not consider when they are hiring somebody. Like, I'm looking at this Gage Peart guy wanting to come into my agency, and what I don't think about is his wife depending on me to create the environment for him to be successful and thrive in, because she's going to blame me when things don't go their way.
Absolutely. And when you're in an environment where you're just hiring people aimlessly, you don't actually have a true process. And then all of a sudden you hire a couple bad apples, and then those bad apples can knock you right out the business. And I think actually having a hiring process to hire quality versus the quantity is really what we're geared towards. We're not trying to be the biggest IMO in the space. We're not trying to be the biggest agency in the space. We're trying to be the most profitable agency in the space. And I think that's what matters the most, not the issue paid numbers or how many agents you have on board. What does your agent's bank accounts actually look like? What's your agent's quality of life actually look like? And I think that's our main focus, man, is to actually hear agents out. I think we're in a world where innovation is ever evolving. And we were at a company where we were told the new idea department is closed. And it's like,
no, new school's taking over old school. Like, it's open information now. All this stuff has just come out publicly. Like, technology has rapidly advanced. I remember, shit, man, it's probably 15 years ago. You were still on Bell South using the dial-up internet, playing games at school on miniclip.com with some IP back. Like, it was a completely different world.
It really was, man. And for them to think that like that was not going to catch up, and it's just, I think we live in a technology driven world where now people are utilizing technology in their insurance business and really exploding using technology, not the traditional 8 to 10 hour dial days and going out and door knocking to, that their life depends on it. I think that's a part of the process, but I don't think you have to necessarily rely on it. And there's a lot of companies that are out there that still rely on door knocking, that still rely on you pounding the phones for 10 hours a day to really set yourself up for success, when there's automations, there's drip campaigns, like just getting with the times, I think, is what's so important. And that's really what we're trying to create here at Safe Haven, is using technology to make the agent's opportunity easier and more accessible or more duplicatable. Because me dialing for 10 hours a day because my life depended on it doesn't mean Joe right here is going to dial for 10 hours a day. Like, he may not want to put in that many hours. He may not want to put in that much work. So when I'm like, hey, dude, you should do this too, but he was not willing to put in that work, it's kind of hard to duplicate yourself. But what is duplicatable? Systems. When you can put systems into place and to follow step by step on really how to increase your touch points with your leads and how to touch more clients, you're just increasing the ability to increase your ROI on your lead spend. So I think that's a big thing that we're trying to hone in on too, man, is utilizing technology to our advantage to decrease that effective hours of business and increase ROI, talk time, and the ability to be able to do this business anywhere in the world, not just in your one area where you can drop mail. Like, you can go to a different state, you can be on the vacation with your family, but in your hotel room on the Wi-Fi, talking to clients. Like, we're just trying to adapt with the times, man, is the biggest thing, and trying to take two big IMOs and the good from it and try to eliminate the bad from it and meshing it into one. And that's where we got the name Safe Haven, is we wanted agents to come into our environment and feel as if they're safe to speak their mind. They're safe to approach the business the way they want to approach it, and decide on whether or not they want to do health, life, or both. And being able to support somebody who wants to just make $5,000 a month, or support somebody who wants to do $50,000 in a month. I came from a place where it was shamed upon to do that little of a business, but there's a lot of people who would be very happy with that amount of business, with that type of income. And so we're trying to meet people where they're at, man, and really just give them an environment where they feel supported, they feel like they have the resources, and they have a space where they can speak their mind and not feel judged on it.
Correct. Speaking of that automation stuff, that was probably my favorite thing. When I discovered how to write business from TikTok, I went from paying $3,000 a month in leads to paying zero and still writing 30 to 40 grand a month off of TikTok alone. So I got into learning how to market and advertise, and like, people sell because they don't know how to market. Marketing is just sales at scale. It's selling to groups.
Literally.
Selling is one-to-one market, and the only reason you market is because you don't know how to make a product. So I went through that rabbit hole of learning all that, built that automation, and seeing people use my funnels to generate hundreds of interviews like that. That's cool. But I wanted to talk to you about the managerial side of things. What are some of the things you've had to adapt to lead large groups of people? Because it's not just you and Michaela anymore. You've got people depending on you, like I said, to create that environment for them to be successful in.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things, man. Number one, you have to have a channel of communication, not just like, a one-on-one type of text or phone call. And so what we utilize is a platform called Slack, which, many of you may be accustomed to, but that's a way to streamline your communication. That's a way to get the message out to the masses versus the one-on-one phone calls or the one-on-one text messages, which are fantastic. But when you start leading a group of 100 some agents, you have to be able to try to get that message out to them. So I think communication's key with having some type of platform to get your message out. I also think creating a Facebook group. So then once again, you can push that information out. to people to get the message out to people, so then no one misses the boat or misses an announcement or misses a training call. And then secondly, man, I really think it's important to be able to empower that next level of leadership. The people who have the desire to grow a team, the people who are looking, who've sold at a decent amount or a good amount, and they're just like, they're looking for more to do, that they feel like they really got the sales muscle down. So it's giving them the opportunity to mentor agents or coach agents, I think is really the next step of trying to duplicate yourself. Because once you get to a certain level, you only have so many hours in a day. You have only so much time to give people before you kind of go insane. So you really have to be able to build, that next level of leadership. And I think the best way is really trying to understand your agents and matching them with people who are like-minded or have a similar view of the business as them, and then introducing them to each other if they're not working with each other, or having a three-way call and just, giving gratitude to the agent who's selling at a high level, introducing the new agent to him and saying, hey, this gentleman in here or this woman here is here to help you. Not only just me, but you as well. Because I'm thinking back to when I was new, and I said it to you earlier, when I was only relying on my manager for help, I was only getting one perspective, one opinion. Yep. I truly believe when someone has 2 to 3 points of contacts, they can call up Gage, they can call up Mason, they can call up David, and we all may say something in 3 different ways, and now the agent can absorb that information and make it their own. Or, hey, I really like what Mason said on this aspect, but I really like what Gage said on this aspect, and I did like a little bit of what David said there, and then mesh it into their own. So I think trying to make sure new agents have another point of contact, have another go-to is key. And then also taking the top performers or the top producers, giving them 2 or 3 mentees or people that, hey man, I could really use your help with this gentleman, or I could really use your help with this woman. She's trying hard. For some reason, my message isn't getting clear. A second opinion or a third opinion would really help out. And so you're not only helping the new agent, but you're empowering that top producer or the agent who's aspiring to coach in the lead, but maybe they haven't recruited, or maybe they don't have any agents that they brought on board, but they're starving to help more. And really what that does, Mason, is when you learn the business is one thing, but when you teach the business is really when you master your skill set. And so I think it's a kind of a good triangle approach. It's like you, that new agent, and then your top producer. You're helping the top producer, you're helping the new agent, and you're really helping yourself because you're relieving yourself from a couple extra phone calls, and then they build that relationship. And that's worked really well with a handful of our agents. Is I've got them in this like triangle approach, or I've gotten them another person to kind of link arms with, a running mate, running buddy, like your concept. It's just so true, man. I think everyone can make this business really, really lonely, but when you put yourself in that environment, or you really put yourself out there and try to connect with others, is when this business can get fun. And this business can really take you to new levels, because now you're not relying on one person. And now it's just not Gage, disappointing you or upsetting you. Now you have this other person to lean on too. So I think that was a big thing for us as well, Mason, was just empowering our agents who are aspiring to grow teams or to lead or coach, and then having a channel of communication so you can broadcast message out to the entire team. And still working on it, man. I'm 3 years.
Would you like to know something that would help you and Ashley out?
Yeah.
Get rid of the top dog threat. Because how popular is that in the industry? You see that, like, I was always that guy who is number 1 on the leaderboards, and everyone was like, how is he doing that? So what I've seen in like the best sales teams is they eliminate the top dog threat. And instead of you coaching, because whether agency owners realize it or not, they're running 2 businesses. I was just telling Johnny this because now he's starting to lead people. You're always running the business you're in and the business you're becoming. And it's actually hurtful for Gage to give his time to everyone below him, because he is supposed to be the visionary. He's supposed to, like, when people decide where they go, they say, can I place my long-term vision inside of Gage's? And the moment that matches that, they leave. So you have to always be expanding that. And an easy way to do that for you and Ashley to like eliminate some of the shit off of you guys' chest, take weight off of you, is to implement contests for 3-man teams. Have them different each time. But that way there's no top dog threat. And the winners, they'll get to go on a retreat or something. Spend $5,000, send them to Florida. I don't know. Or the Philippines is cheap. But they will share best practices instead of having to rely on a one-on-one phone call from you or Ashley. It will share best practices for them. And it's a collaboration of people. They start working with different people best. That's something I have not seen in the insurance industry, that when I started implementing it, people were like, holy shit, what are you doing?
Yeah. No, I'm completely open to it, and I appreciate that, man, because like I just said, like I'm 3 years into this thing. It's not like I haven't mastered or I'm the best by any means. I still have so much room for growth. And really, that was a big reason why I kind of left, if I'm being honest with you, man, is I felt like I was capped on my mentors.
Their limited vision.
Yes, absolutely. And like, just like you said, the vision wasn't there. So what did Gage do? He bounced. And so that's key. And I'm glad you just brought that up, because we have to continuously look forward as far as where we want to take the agency, but not get drowned in the day-to-day type of activities. And I'm never going to be too big to ever make phone calls or talk to clients and do all that. Like I love that aspect of it. But exactly what you said, if people catch up to where you're at, then you're dead in the water. And what's going to tie them to stay to you when you're not casting the vision or knowing where we're going? People will follow if you know where you're going. But if you don't know where you're going, eventually people are going to catch on to that, and then they decide to go off on their own path and lead their own trail. But yeah, that's good stuff, man. We definitely can implement that. I'm a big person in contests too. I think teamwork and excitement, and the competitors come out in most people with contests.
Correct. And they'll share best practices with each other. Like I want to help you guys build out like the back office stuff, like the structure, because this is what most people mess up on in this industry. Because like, do you know the 5 core functions of any business?
Not off the top of my head.
External, it's lead generation, and there's 5 ways of generating leads. You got affiliates, paid ads, manual outbound, earned media, like partnerships, that stuff. Then you got lead nurture. So how are you maintaining those relationships? And this is all on the external side of business. Then you got sales. Then you have fulfillment. You have to make good on all the promises you made on the sales call. Then you have retention and ascension. There's only 3 ways to grow a business. You either get more customers, increase the lifetime value, or make them buy more. So you make your customers worth more, get more, or make them buy more times. Now we can also apply that internally for like applicants. Same way you can generate leads, you can generate interviews. So you got app generation, app nurture, interviews, which are the sales, fulfillment, and then retention and ascension. Promote these people into star positions or key players, whatever, management, whatever you want to call it. Like that stuff is what people, I've not seen anyone really set that up outside of like Aflac. People make fun of Aflac and all them, but they've got the business structure set up like a company. Yep. It's not just some rinky-dink insurance agency out of Mason Van Meter's house that just has 50 people calling him saying, hey, dude, what do I do today? Like the structure. And that's the beauty of not putting a process in a person, because the moment that person leaves, now you have to teach someone new. If you just put a person into a process, it's duplicatable.
Amen, dude. And that's really the goal, I think, is to put systems in place so where it's not reteaching, it's more or less following that process, just like you said. And that's what's exciting, man, is we're brand new to the scene, and we're not sitting here saying that we have to do it a certain way. We know that we have a lot of room to grow, and we have a lot of room to adapt and take different concepts and ideas and principles, add it into our business, and try to build something that no one's ever seen. And I think that's really the big idea behind the Safe Haven, is to allow guys like Mason to come in here, leverage his knowledge, leverage his experience, and implement it into our business and best practice for us moving forward.
Correct. We'll make it turnkey. I love you guys' vision, and that's why it's so fun for me to build this stuff out. Like Robert Tarango just joined Running Buddies yesterday, and he's so excited. I mean, like his churn is huge. So I'm going to show him how to get back $100,000 that he hasn't even lost yet. But it's just understanding the numbers and actual metrics of business. And so that's cool for me to help your people out with and empower them, because I know it's going to make you guys more money. And you're going to be like, look what Mason did. And I'm a selfish person and I like being thanked. But at least you know what it for me.
No,
I'm completely transparent.
Absolutely, man. And I think that it's huge for an agency owner to actually want to teach business in this realm. So many people are just quick to say, buy more leads, make more phone calls, memorize the script, and just keep going out and running and gunning. And that's why people get tired.
And I got a tax bill?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
I'm telling you, man. And it's like, if we can actually take sales concepts, real business concepts, apply it to life insurance, it's something that a lot of people have never seen before. And there's a reason why Northwestern Mutual has career agents, why Aflac has career agents, where these IMOs have 1 to 2 to 3 year agents, and they're just building their business off the next excited person or the next go-getter. And they lose people because they don't actually have processes and concepts put in place to think long-term. They don't have a 5-year plan. Where I was at, it was 2 to 3 years and sell your book of business and you're done. It's like,
good luck.
Why are we dangling this carrot in front of all these agents' eyes when we should be focused on just helping them develop their skills, help them become profitable, and help them take control of their life, versus feeding them this damn idea that they can work for 2 to 3 years and be set for life. It's just like, dude, that's so unrealistic. And so many people are caught into that. And it's like, dude, this is a career, not a get rich quick in 36 months type of ordeal. And that's what they're trying to sell the opportunity as. And that's why they have so much turnover, is because people realize that that's not it. And there's no actual long-term plan for this. And specifically, if you don't want to grow a team, they really don't have a route for you. They don't have a path to follow. It's like, no, you have to grow a team. And it's like, no, someone shouldn't have to recruit to build passive income.
I think there is 115,000 licensed life insurance agents in North America right now. And I mean, you take let's just say 90% of them quit after 1 year, like the statistic or whatever, which is probably closer to like 98. But so there's almost 100,000 people that are just new every year into this industry, just building their business on the backs of others. And I'm telling you, it's unsustainable. So I usually ask for a piece of advice for new agents, but you're more on the managerial side. And I haven't heard any of this question asked for YouTube or anything like this yet. What piece of advice would you give like agency owners, people with responsibility? What would you tell them to focus on?
I think you have to you need to focus on your next layer of leadership, because if you can duplicate yourself, if you can empower your men and women who are aspiring to be in a position that you're in, those are the people that can give you the true freedom and to eliminate the headaches that you're probably dealing with, or all the phone calls that you're dealing with. There's a specific group out there that they are known for their training, and they are known for these figureheads who've been doing it for 10, 12 years. And the reason they're still doing it for 10 to 12 years is because their next layers of leadership are just as good, if not better, than who they are. And then they instill the skill set into them. And now you're creating these layers to your business. And I think it's overlooked in this industry to lean in on your go-getters, because you think they're self-sufficient, they can do everything on their own. And at the end of the day, they might not be telling you the little things that are building up in the back of their mind, or the stress that's on their plate, because on the scoreboard, it looks like they're doing really well, but mentally or personally, they're not doing very well. And then all of a sudden you lose one of your key players and you shit your pants because now you have to try to get another key player. Where I think it's just really important to lean in on the individuals who are aspiring to be in a position you're in, and to really listen to them and ask them quality questions, guys. I think we get so caught up in asking people how they're doing. We're so robotic.
Well, how is your marriage going? How was little Timmy's 6th birthday?
Exactly, man. And I think actually getting to know your agents and seeing them as your true business partner for years to come, and just really linking arms with them, man. I think we get so caught up in trying to find more and more and more when you could be sitting on a Mason Von Meter, but you just need to lean in on them a little bit, and you need to hear them out a little bit more, and you need to peel back some layers of the truth. Because I think we ask surface level questions and we think that's fine, but me and you, we tell everyone, oh, I'm good, even when we're not good.
Oh, I quit doing that a long time ago. I watched The Lion King last night with my girlfriend, and I actually cried again. She's like, "What's wrong?" I don't know. I'm not a little boy,
movie, man.
You have to outgrow that macho, tough men don't cry bullshit. I promise you, the level of questions you ask will determine how good you are in sales, your relationship, your spirituality, anything. You want to get better you want to have a better life, ask better questions.
Amen, dude. Couldn't put it any better.
No, well, dude, I'll be respectful of your time. Where can people go if they want to reach out to you and join your team, man?
Yeah, man. You guys can either go to Instagram. It's at Gage Peart. That's GagePeart on Instagram. Same name on Facebook. You can go to safehavenwriters.com, and you can actually schedule an opportunity call. So you can either go to our website, you can follow me there, or you can shoot me a text. It's 309-525-0029. And I'll definitely get back to you as soon as I can. And like I said, I like to run with the runners, man. I don't like to just, work with the people who want to be their handheld the entire time, because that was not who I am. And that's not who I'm looking to work with either. So I just want to make that very clear, man.
You speak to everyone, no one listens, like I said. No, dude, well, if you guys like this, drop your best piece of what you got out of this in the comments. Make sure you thank Gage for pouring his heart out into y'all. And I hope you found this extremely valuable. If you did, send it to a friend. And if you join my team, you'll be joining Gage's anyway. So, got that out of the way.
Appreciate your time, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, buddy. Have a good one.
Yeah.